You are watching SABC News live from Johannesburg. Your headlines this hour.
They are coming here, threatening us.
See a raid, and this is one of the complaints that we have as the Human Rights Commission.
As the country marked Human Rights Day, some South Africans say the day represents very little to celebrate. The Inkatha Freedom Party has committed itself to working towards nation building and economic prosperity for all South Africans. Heathrow Airport has restarted flights after closure due to a fire outbreak nearby caused global travel turmoil. You are watching the Weekend Review here on the SABC News channel. A very good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us. For the next 2 hours, we'll be reviewing some of the biggest stories of the week. My name is Mariketa Matabe, and as always, it's wonderful to have you with us. We start here. The Inkatha Freedom Party has committed itself to shift the country's economic state through unity among its structures. Thousands of party members attended a Thanksgiving prayer service as part of its 50th anniversary celebrations. The event was held at KwaZimela in Melmoth, north of KwaZulu-Natal.
The 50th birthday celebrations of the Inkatha Freedom Party started with a wreath-laying ceremony at the grave of the late Dr. Alpheus Zulu, who was the advisor to the late founding IFP president Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Zulu presided over the meeting where the Inkatha National Cultural Liberation Movement was formed on the 21st of March in 1975. 5 decades later, party leaders gathered to honor and pay respect to those who played a pivotal role in the formation of the IFP. Party supporters came out in their numbers to celebrate the IFP's birthday.
Ngithi namhlanje anginakulahla noma bengaguga noma ngakanani noma sebethini befika benginika imkhazikhazi ngithi hambani bafana bami intombi ezinhle alibonga igama lenkosi ngiselela.
Ngifuna iIFP ukuthi ithathe izwe ikwazi ukuthi abantu abasha bathola amathuba omsebenzi.
Party leaders called on members and those in leadership roles to stay true to the values of the party and called for unity.
Comrades, indeed, it is no small feat that we meet like this today. Over the past 5 decades, the obituary of the IFP has been written 1,000 times. But here we are. We have survived many trials, tribulations, and tragedies. Yet we are still here. Our footprint is etched in every part of South Africa, in every corner of this province, and it will be further etched in every part of our country's future.
Today we reaffirm our party's commitment to the values of our party as we too face enormous socio-economic challenges that at times have driven the people into a state of desperation. In their desperation, the people have been easily misled into philosophies that have been proven time and time again to be the source of their misery and poverty.
Today's service will be followed by a celebratory rally at the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi Stadium at Ulundi on Sunday. Simpiwe Makanya, SABC News, Melmoth.
Now in news, further failed flights to Britain's Heathrow Airport have resumed after a fire at a nearby electrical substation knocked out its power, shutting Europe's busiest airport. Heathrow said its teams had worked tirelessly to reopen and that there would be a limited number of flights, mostly focused on relocating aircraft and bringing planes into London. Following an initial investigation, authorities ruled out foul play, although inquiries continue. Heathrow Airport, which expected to handle over 1,300 flights and 291,000 passengers, was forced to divert planes to other UK and European airports. Some long-haul flights returned to their region. Fortunately, Heathrow's backup systems, including diesel generators, functioned as intended, ensuring safe landing and passenger evacuation. Now, friends and family have described the late Hindu leader and lawyer Ashwin Trikamjee as a selfless individual with a deep passion for human rights. Trikamjee was laid to rest yesterday in Durban. He died from cancer on Thursday in a Johannesburg hospital at the age of 80. Trikamjee held various positions at the time of his death, including that of President of the South African Hindu Mahasabha and Board Director at the 1860 Heritage Centre. He was the first non-white president of the Association of Law Societies of South Africa, chairperson of the African Regional Forum of the International Bar Association, and a member of the Human Rights Committee of the International Bar Association.
Scores of mourners paid their last respects to Ashwin Trikamjee. Politicians, members of the legal fraternity, businessmen and scholars were amongst the people who attended the funeral. Friends and family described Trikamjee as a distinguished attorney, human rights advocate and religious leader. His colleagues from the legal fraternity said Trikamjee spent 51 years honoring the oath he took when he was admitted as an attorney to be loyal to the Republic of South Africa with intense discipline and unwavering determination. His children say although he was a prominent public figure, he always had time for his family.
My final thank you, and the most important one, thank you, Ash. How do I put into words what you mean to me? There's no way to quantify all that you have done for me. Just know that I will spend a lifetime honoring you and your legacy. My greatest compliments are when people tell me that I'm like my father, and my most cherished messages of the last 24 hours came from people who reminded me how proud you are of me.
His son has encouraged mourners to pass on his father's teachings to others.
But what I can say is the individual embraces the moments that you had with our father have hopefully changed your lives for the better, have hopefully reminded you that we all can do more. And we all should do more for this community.
Trikamjee's commitment to interfaith cooperation saw him serve as the inaugural chairperson of the National Religious Leaders Forum, where he initiated and promoted dialogue among diverse faith groups.
We have understood that Ashwin is a gift not only to the Hindu religion and faith, but is a gift to all South Africans. That in him we found the best expressions of what God wants all of us to be. To live with purity of heart, clarity of intent, and with deep values that encompasses all the people who are created by God in all creation, without any sense of malice.
Trikamjee also served as the chairperson of the SABC Pension Fund for 20 years. I'm Nantlakane Pamakwaza for SABC News in Durban.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. DA Federal Council Chair Helen Zille says Tony Leon would be a suitable choice for South Africa's next ambassador to the US. This follows Ibrahim Rasool's expulsion in persona non grata status last week. Zille stresses the need to maintain strong ties with the US, citing the DA's recent visit, where they engaged with the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, on improving relations. Meanwhile, presidential spokesperson Vincent Magwenya says several candidates are being considered to replace Rasool, with many names put forward.
Well, we as the Democratic Alliance have stated that we believe that President Ramaphosa should consult about an appropriate replacement for Ambassador to the United States. It is a crucial position. We know very well that President Trump is looking inwards. He wants to make America great again, as he says, and he's not interested in countries that he sees are undermining the US's interests. But it doesn't help South Africa to alienate the United States. We have 196 billion rands worth of trade with America every year. That is many, many jobs. Many American companies are invested here in South Africa. We cannot turn America into an enemy. And that is why, during this administration in particular, we have to put an excellent diplomat into that position to build relations with the United States.
Who do you think comes at top of the mind?
Well, you know, if I had to choose, I would choose somebody like Tony Leon. I think he would be absolutely excellent. He's been a very, very good ambassador before in Argentina. I think that he has all the skills at a very top level. He's a very good intellectual. He reads very widely. He understands foreign policy. That's the caliber of person that you need.
Now, as South Africa's ambassador to the U.S., Ibrahim Rasool spent his last day in the United States of America, there are some South Africans preparing a hero's welcome for him in the Western Cape. He was declared persona non grata and was expelled from Washington last week for comments he made about Donald Trump. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio took issue with Rasool for the comments he made on a webinar. Meanwhile, some in academia have raised questions about the role the media and political commentators have played in this saga. Joining us now is political analyst Sandile Swana. He joins us via Teams link. Thanks so much, Mr. Swana, for joining us. I mean, there has been a lot of public discourse around this issue. Let's begin with your analysis of how you believe it's been framed and discussed.
Yes, obviously there are at least two prominent commentaries, one by the major African National Congress intellectual Joel Netshitenzhe, who's also the executive director, I believe, of MISTRA, which hosted the seminar at which, or the webinar as it is called these days, where Rasool spoke. The other one was by Professor Stephen Friedman from the University of Johannesburg. Those two commentators looked at it from an intellectual perspective and concluded that it was a worthwhile academic or intellectual contribution by Rasool, and it should have been taken as such, and that the media in South Africa, by and large, failed to engage the issues that intellectually Rasool was raising in his presentation, in his intellectual or academic presentation, if you want to call it that. So, but the media went along on other tangents. So that is basically the first complaint that can be raised here. And there are other, obviously, issues that can be discussed.
You talk about Prof. Stephen Friedman. I mean, he has raised the treatment of the debacle around Ambassador Rasool and the way in which the former U.S. ambassador's allegations against South Africa and Russia claiming an arms trade of sort. He's pointed a double standard and deep prejudice by the media and political commentators. Your thoughts?
The expulsion of Rasool from that perspective is consistent, first of all, with the conduct that we have seen. We've seen the entry into official documents of the United States, false information about South Africa, totally untrue information about whether you call it a genocide or pogroms, the killing of white South Africans in South Africa, the taking away of the land of white South Africans, and generally laws that are disproportionately unfair to white South Africans, without evidence. Anton Harper, another major intellectual in the world of journalism, has put out a comment on the so-called 142 laws, racial laws, and debunked the whole thing, neutralized it, and rendered it irrelevant. That is actually totally untrue. But those things have been penned by Trump and his assistants into official documents of the state in a manner that is similar to the previous ambassador, Bridget, when he made officially and confronted the South African government without evidence. So the diplomacy between South Africa and the United States has been plagued by outright lies in official statements by the United States And lastly, what I will say about the expulsion itself, the expulsion is probably a mild treatment compared to what Zelensky was given on international television. If you want to talk about diplomacy, look at what they did to Zelensky. So the United States is actually at the top. When you talk about Trump, you talk about Elon Musk, Marco Rubio, and J.D. Vance, those four. It's like seniors in a boys' hostel, in a boarding school, who are ill-treating juniors. Everybody is being ill-treated, almost everybody, other than Netanyahu and so on, being ill-treated as a junior. You look at what they did to Starmer, and you try to imagine what they are planning to do to Ramaphosa when he goes there. So this really is a question where the United States is not playing according to any rules that have been known up to this point, in a manner similar to what around 1971, I believe it was, when Nixon simply abandoned the gold standard and put a piece of paper in place of gold and said, now the reserve currency will be valued or backed up by the US dollar and the military of the United States. That's it. So the world is now being bullied, and South Africa is being bullied in a very heavy way by the United States.
And I want us to go back to, you talked about Dr. Joel Netsi-Denze. He says very little of the analysis has delved into the core issues that Ibrahim Rasool raised in his remarks. And he also asks if the media fulfilled its obligations to educate. How would you respond to this question, Mr. Swana?
First of all, you do find very probing journalists in South Africa. I must first put that aside. There are probing journalists in South Africa that you can credit. And there are also probing analysts in South Africa that you can credit. However, the statement, the nitty-gritty of the statement or the lecture that was given by Rasool himself, which is what Netsi-Denze is referring to, the actual content. For instance, what is the strategic trajectory of the United States with this MAGA? And Helen Zille also alludes to this, that actually there is a very inward-looking position, but what she doesn't get to is some of the statements that were made by J.D. Vance to the Europeans. You know, for instance, the idea that the Europeans have got to almost preserve a pure European civilization. And my interpretation of that is that they need to be careful of how many Africans, how many Asians they are admitting, how many Islamists or Muslims they are actually admitting into Europe, which can dilute the civilization of Europe. And it says that we cannot relate with Europe on that basis as Americans within the context of MAGA. That if you guys are being diluted by Muslims and Eastern people, how do you then become a country that we can share values? So those are some of the issues that I think in that statement, in the lecture itself, which I did listen to, Rasool was actually speaking to. And the journalists in South Africa have yet to sit down and actually analyze and go point by point, because there's a list of strategic points that Rasool said we must actually follow this line of strategy. And I think perhaps Ramaphosa is still going to get that report and work that report into how a strategy for dealing with the US is going to be formulated.
And I want us to talk about protocol, Mr. Swana, because that's what Dr. Netsi-Denze also points out. He says the saga also raises the question about to whom protocol applies in relation to global power balances. What is the current situation, and how has the Rasool incident affected the status quo from your observation?
So you look at the fact that there's been a North America agreement, trade agreement between the Canada and America, USA, as well as Mexico. And Trump has thrown that out of the window overnight. So Trump had the USA had various agreements with the European Union and NATO. thrown those out of the window. They had various agreements with Zelensky, Ukraine, and so on, thrown those out of the window. We are now used to it, where an American ambassador, out of the blue, without evidence, unexpectedly comes and physically confronts the South African government, following no known protocol, making wild allegations in popular media, instead of going quietly and discussing through proper channels. So there is no protocol. When you are dealing with the United States of America, there is procedures that should have been followed before arriving at expelling what's his name, Rasool. Those procedures were not even considered. I mean, some of the commentators said that the information that Marco Rubio used, he got it from a right-wing website. When the CIA is there, all sorts of people who are supposed to, I need to add to this. For instance, the USA, in terms of information, they've got your CIA, they've got your FBIs, they've got your Harvard, your MITs, your Stanfords. Just to verify information before making an announcement or making an official executive order or passing a law, verifying with such top-notch research and investigation institutions, but the officials in office, in power, make statements and issue official documents without verification. And then we say there's protocol, that there is no protocol, there is no procedure, no rules, and no law. America, United States of America, has inaugurated a period of lawlessness.
Yeah, and would you agree that Joel Pollack and Breitbart selectively quoted from Rasool's presentation to deliberately incite the U.S. administration?
I have not checked that specifically. I have not checked that specifically, but I would comment on something else.
All right. And there are calls that President Ramaphosa should appoint someone new. I'm sure you've seen that, Mr. Swana. Should South Africans have confidence in the ability of the government to manage the situation and work at the relationship with the U.S.?
The short answer is yes. You must remember that from my information is that Rasool has previously, even under Obama, been a very successful ambassador even to the US. And Rasool has been a successful leader here in South Africa, a respected leader. Rasool is a graduate of UCT, is a top intellectual in his own right. So to think that, as Joel Nechitenze pointed out, that they needed to be an enemy of Rasool is actually very disrespectful. South Africa has many capable South Africans. The ANC has managed, the government, our government, even under the ANC, managed relationships in the United Nations, in the AU. We've managed relationships with the USA for a long time. And there are many people who are in a state of chaos, many nations, because these four gentlemen and their sponsors, Rubio, J.D. Vance, Elon Musk, and Trump, have thrown out the rule book. But we are capable of dealing with very complicated situations as South Africa. Even the ANC itself, regardless of how many criticism we may have against it, it still has capable people who can handle this situation.
And how do you see this incident impacting the future diplomatic training manuals far beyond South Africa? Would it be a useful case study in a short?
I think that, unfortunately, it has changed a number of things, even for the Europeans, that the confidence and the excessive authority, confidence in the United States and the excessive authority given by Europeans, the European Union and others, to the United States was misplaced. If you look at a minimum since after World War II, including the behavior by Nixon and others, there has been mendacity, there has been duplicity, and there's been caprice, unpredictability, and the increase of risk to the international nations. So everybody, after this point, is going to hedge against the risk of relying too much on the United States.
Interesting take, as always, Mr. Swana. Thanks so much for your time and your insights. That was political analyst Sandile Swana there. Well, the weekend review, continues after this short break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. As we continue to celebrate International Women's Month, Sandile Hlangani is profiling women who are making waves in their respective industries. This week, he visited Danielle Smith, a young female barber in Melville, who is breaking barriers in a traditionally male-dominated field. But before we welcome Danielle to the studio, let's take a look at this insert compiled by Sandile.
Danielle's journey as a barber began with a passion for creativity and a desire to challenge societal norms.
My cousin was a barber, so I used to cut his hair always. Then from there, what inspired me, I went to a training center. From the training center, you automatically go to the advanced training. From advanced training, then you enter into a barber shop. But my cousin actually inspired me to go and do a barber shop work.
Growing up in Klipspruit, a township in Johannesburg designated as a colored area during apartheid, Danielle's experiences shaped her determination to succeed.
What I can say is, you must go what your heart's desire is. You understand? So, like, if you feel that barbering is your thing, go for it. Don't always, because some people hesitate in doing what they really love doing. You understand? Don't never ever hesitate in what you feel and what is your heart's desire. Go for what you want. I say go for it, push for it.
As a female barber, Danielle faces unique challenges. Some clients underestimate her abilities, requesting to be cut by her male counterparts instead.
First challenge out of all, you don't get it. You don't get like a customer that would just come out and sit by you. Reason being, you are a female barber, but because of the media industry out there, there's a lot of female barbers now on the social medias. There's like this one guy around down the road. He does nails. He's a guy. I'm a girl. He does nails. I cut hair. So these days, it's not about a female or male. We both do the same thing. Males do nails now. I do hair.
But Danielle's skills and dedication have earned her a loyal client base, and she continues to prove that women can excel in any field.
You happy with your haircut, my friend? Very, very much happy. Gonna come back to us next time. Oh, good night, my friend. You should enjoy your week. Be safe for the
As
long
we
weekend.
celebrate International Women's Month, Danielle's story serves as a reminder that women can break barriers and achieve greatness even in the most unexpected fields. Danielle's passion and perseverance are an inspiration to us all and a testament to the power of women in shaping their own destinies. Danielle, the female barber from Klipspruit, Johannesburg, proving that with hard work and determination, anything is possible.
And from the salon to studio, watching that insert there by Sandile, she's just all smiles here in studio. And now please welcome Danielle, the inspiring young female barber who is proving that with hard work and determination, anything is possible. Danielle, thanks so much for coming through. Welcome.
Thank you for having
talk
me.
to us, what sparked your interest in becoming a barber, and what motivated you to pursue this career path?
My cousin, he passed away. His name is Leon Pompis. So I used to always cut his hair. And he tells me, no, put in the line for me, take it out there. Put this for me in, take it out there. I was still in school, when I used to cut his hair.
Yeah.
So then I went on until I got to a point where I told myself, I need to go out there now. I can't stay here. There's nothing going to happen for me here. So I need to go out there and go pursue my dreams.
What does it take? I guess it takes that steady hand and passion to pull off what we've just watched in that insert. Talk to us, what does it take for you to really achieve, and what sort of satisfaction does it bring to you to say, well, I've actually done justice to this kind of hairstyle?
First things first, like your heart must be there. You can't just cut hair just for fun. Because out there, like you pay for a haircut, right? And the haircut you pay for, it's just not the 50 rand. It's not just 100 rand, but it's 120. So in order to give that to get that 120 cut, you need to give that 120 cut, and you need to be determined to do something. You can't just do it for fun.
And as a woman in a male-dominated industry, what challenges have you faced, and what have you done to sort of overcome them?
Honestly, it's a little bit hard, especially when you are female, especially out here. But because you like I said, you get the male and then you get the female. These days, males does nails and then females does what is haircuts. So for me out here at this moment, it's not so hard. But before that time, it was very hard, because you come get, they see this haircut, they rather go sit there. Now you come get by me, they like thinking twice. Like, what is this woman gonna do with my hair? Can she cut? Can she really cut? But then you come get, this one from outside comes. He comes, sits down. Now you see I cut, and the way I cut, it's not just a cut, but you look beautiful when you're like that.
I see that.
Yeah, that's the thing. So it's not a challenge anymore. Now it's far away.
But how long did it take for you to sort of break that barrier, to say, well, listen, even if a client comes through to my salon, they choose to pass by my chair, I will still come back the following day until they accept my presence here as a female?
I love cutting hair. So either which way, whereby the customer goes past or the customer comes sits, I'll never give up. My determination is to always do what is best for me and not for the next person.
And how many people depend on you financially? Let's talk about your background and how has your income as a barber impacted your family and community?
At this moment, things are going, it's okay, because I work for my mother. I live with my mother. My father passed away. So it's like me, it's my mother, it's my sister's 2 children. So I look after them at this moment. But it's okay for me, man.
So you look after them. How does that make you feel?
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Excellent. Excited to do the next.
Yeah.
Because I just don't do it for myself. But I have like my family behind me that needs to be fed. And I need to feed them. So in order to feed them, I need to grow. And by growing, you need to have a passion.
Can you just walk us through a typical day in your life as a barber and how you manage your finances to support yourself and your loved ones?
A typical day. There's a lot of typical days sometimes, to be honest. But going through the day, like, how can I put it? Going through the day knowing that you're not just doing it for yourself, but you have people at the back of you that you need to look after. So it's a 50-50 sometimes for me. Yeah.
And what comes through your mind when you are busy working in that salon, when you're doing that haircut or hairstyle? What comes through your mind?
The first thing that comes to my mind is that I need to be successful in life, and I need to make sure that I don't go ask, and I don't, you see, it's like sometimes in life you get in, I'm a little bit nervous.
It's okay, go ahead.
Okay, in life sometimes, you find whereby you down, and then you rise again. By rising, you need to keep that standard in life, not just for yourself, but knowing that you always have the people behind you that you need to feed, and you need to make sure that they always far away. Never a down moment. You get your down moments.
True.
You get your down moments, you get your happy moments. But I prefer just to keep it happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And How long have you been practicing as a barber, and what training or certifications, or certificates rather?
Okay, outside the industry, which is now at home, or like my clients at home. Like outside, it would be 10 years, and in the industry of barbering, it's 7 years. And that's all I can say.
Is this what you have been dreaming to do from childhood?
Yes. Honestly, like that is why I got a passion for cutting hair. I don't just do it just for fun. That's why I would make sure that the person that goes out over there is happy with the haircut. You must always look thrice or twice in the mirror, and you come back again and look again in the mirror, and you're like, okay, now I like what I see.
And they do like what they see.
Yes, they do. They actually do.
What advice would you give to young women who are interested in pursuing a career in barbering or similar male-dominated field? Because, well, there's that kind of, well, I would not actually dare go there because it's male-dominated. So what, as a woman, am I going to do there? What advice would you give to those young women out there?
Firstly, never let anybody bring you down in what your heart's desire is, especially. Like, you get people that wants to break you down. You get people that wants to lift you up. But never ever in your entire life let the next person bring you down, especially when it's your heart's desire, when you want to do that thing. Never let somebody bring you down. Go for it. Full force, go for it. Grab it with both hands. Never let it slip through your fingers, because once it slips through your fingers, you're never going to get it back again.
Yeah. And did you ever at some point feel like, geez, why am I here? Why should I not just give up?
Not actually.
How did you overcome that?
Not actually, because it's what I love doing.
Yeah.
If it had to be like sales, I was gonna be like, I don't want to go back to work. It's not what I want to do. You understand? But if it like the barbering, I love what I do. I love what I do.
And what's next for you?
What's next for me?
Yeah.
I want to start my own shop.
Oh.
Yes, that's my heart's desire. I really want it, because I wanna teach the next young ones coming up. I do that at home, actually. I have these small ones. You get your small ones, you get the big ones that wants to learn, that wants to pursue their dreams. But for me, I want to see them pursue their dreams, not just for myself, but for themselves. And I want them to also uplift themselves, not just because of the livelihood they live in, no, but because they want to do it. That's my thing.
And is that the message that you would give young people out there, especially in a country where unemployment rate is quite high among young people in this country?
But what I would say is never ever let your energy down. Keep that energy alive.
Indeed.
God willingly. Not all would succeed in life. But if you can, why not? And trust in God always, because He's the only one that can put you there and keep you out there.
Yeah. And what message do you hope the audience takes from your story? And how can we support and empower more women like you in our communities?
Go for what you want. Go for it. Never let it down. Go for what you want. Go 100% into it. No, not 5%, not 10%, but 100%. Go into it.
Yeah,
that's what I can tell them.
Danielle, thank you. We appreciate your time and all the best in your business. We love to see this kind of stories every time. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you, man.
We appreciate your time. That was Danielle Smith, barber in Melville. We appreciate your time indeed. Now, the week in review continues after this short break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. As the country marked Human Rights Day, some South Africans say the day represents very little to celebrate. For the vulnerable group of people who sleep on the streets, the day is a reminder of some basic human rights basic human rights they do not enjoy. Rather, they say for them the fundamental right to security is one that is not reserved for them simply because their home is on the pavement or under a bridge.
Basic human rights like access to shelter and security are enjoyed daily by most without thinking twice about it. But for a group of homeless people staying on pavements or in a parking area near Parliament, these are privileges they don't have.
The police, they are coming here, threatening us, swear at us, your mother's this, your mother's that, and even if they come here, they feel like beating you, they do it.
I don't feel I have any human rights because police, when they come here in the yard, they come about like more than a dozen. They come here, they just break down doors, and when they feel like arresting you, they arrest you for anything.
But as a human being, I feel I'm a dog man. I can tell you I'm a dog. As I come in the morning, around 4 o'clock in the morning to wake you up like you're in prison. Or tear your pants down, you must squat for them. Central.
I was making it right, I was looking for the dirty clothes to wash it out, and then he say, I'm lying. There's drugs in my place, and before this week he's gonna catch me. I don't know why, I don't sell drugs.
I feel like we are treated as we are not human beings. I feel like we've been treated as a bunch of dirt just pushed aside. Like we don't have a say of our own rights. It doesn't get acknowledged or it doesn't get heard. We can speak and speak and speak, but nothing gets done about it.
The Human Rights Commission says it is aware of the harshness of law enforcement.
See a raid, and this is one of the complaints that we have as the Human Rights Commission, that when law enforcement move people off the street, they take all of their belongings, load it on a truck, and most of their belongings also have their birth certificates or their IDs or even their SASA cards, and then go dump it in a pound. The Human Rights Commission in South Africa has continuously and will continuously engage municipalities and government at both local and national level to create a space for national policy on homelessness, so that at least we are not guided by the old Vacancy Act or by the litter and pollution bylaws, but let us find decent bylaws and acts that can guide a sustainable solution to homelessness in our country.
Nissen has called on authorities to treat homeless people with respect while finding solutions that ultimately lead to reintegration into society. Zaleen Merrington, SABC News, Parliament.
Stay with that story. Seth Mazibuko, a student leader in the 1976 Soweto uprising and a former political prisoner on Robben Island, joins us for a discussion. Seth, thanks so much indeed for joining us. A very good afternoon to you. Good to see you. Human Rights Day celebrated in our country yesterday. Your take on how it's been celebrated with pomp and speeches?
Thank you very much for inviting me, and I am humbled by this. And I spent part of my morning visiting the graves of those who laid their lives in Sharpeville, and I listened to different speeches, including that of our deputy president. And I also, saw how political parties used the day and this space for their own launch of party of elections next year. It was very glaring. And that disturbed me in a way that sometimes we take pain of other people and make it our political prosperity. And that alone being the case, it's not sitting well, particularly with those who have lost their lives.
And Seth, how do you view the significance of Human Rights Day in modern South Africa, particularly for younger generations who may not have lived through apartheid?
Yeah, maybe as I said to you during the interview last time, and I'm hoping that you will not ask this question today, that says, how do we want to view the day itself? The day itself, my brother, is misplaced by politics of the day. It is the day where we should be educating more of our children about what happened, and the youth about what happened on the day, and call the day as it is. And then from there, start speaking to why did these people fight, or why did these people go into an extent of losing their lives for South Africa in those years. And that then will then link up to human rights, but not, use human rights to cloud the day. To me, human rights issues are not a one-day thing. They speak to June 16, they speak to the Women's March, they speak to your Shaga's Day. Black people have gone through a lot before even 1994 that could qualify a human rights day being not only centered around a one day. So to me, if you were to ask me really, our young people are learning less of what they've got to learn about human rights because the day is clouded with just a holiday where they can have their prize and sometimes go on working as usual. Yeah. So I insist, let's spell out the day. What is this day? Who died? What for? And what was the bigger struggle? Then the bigger struggle is that of human rights. What is that connected to other histories of our people?
Yeah, interesting. So, I mean, there are certain sections of the society who still feel left out by government. For instance, the destitute, you've seen that that insert. They live in the streets and they say they are not enjoying the freedom at all. Is that what you have been observing?
Look, my brother, as I speak to you, I'm just around me. I'm surrounded by a lot of shacks in the yards. There's a yard in my street that has about 13 of them. And where men have got to wake up in the morning as early as 7, stand outside, have a drink because they are allowing their women and their children to take a bath. And then from there they will get in, their women and children have got to go out. That's the situation that we see every day. We don't get to visit these breaking down, or actually the distortion and destruction of human rights. And it calls for you, as I said the other day, it also calls for you to go to Heathrow and to go to the surrounding towns to see how is the life of our people there. And that is why, if you were to ask me, I hope I'm not being preemptive here, that if we were to go forward with what is it that we need to do? First thing, Human Rights Commission, our government, and all those involved, and maybe activists and scholars, should be starting to take a deep research as to how do we come up with a tool that can be like a human rights barometer. And that is very centered around our history, where we come from, so that we must not even be deceived by AgriForum. So if we have a human rights barometer, and we need that so that we can measure, we cannot seem 30 years from now be talking about one and the same thing, go and make speeches, and we don't even punish those who are leaders in those communities who are not doing what they're supposed to do.
And you talk about that. Let's expand on that. I mean, there are some people who still struggle to access basic things, Seth, such as water and shelter. You mentioned that. And yet we still hear of millions of rands being misused, stolen, or just disappearing from state coffers. What can be done to change how government is treating its people?
Well, about 2-3 weeks ago, I was humbled to be sitting in where we were talking in the council that the president set up, the Anti-Corruption Council, and I was invited there on my capacity as in Moral Regeneration Movement. And when I was sitting there, we're talking about the issues of whistleblowers. And I can assure you, my brother, that Justice Zondo was one of the speakers there. And I mean, he's still crying out. And we are still crying out, all of us, that now some of the people who led us into the debt that we are in today, where even people lose confidence in our government, have not come forward, have not come to sit down and say, look, we have done wrong, or be brought to book. They have not. We still see people going into money that is supposed to pay for electricity, for housing, for cleaning up in the townships, for ablution and water, is still being abused, and abused by those of our own. And there's something that sometimes touches me where it hurts, that when you talk about Afrikaner and white people, they look after themselves and they look after their own, but we don't. We don't. I think our leaders should be thinking seriously of what I sometimes refer to as a black-on-black violence of another form. If there's any black person who takes from the coffers of the people and black people, whilst black people live in poverty, live in debt, live in no lights, live in no water, then you must be asking yourself, am I black enough?
Yeah. And how should government treat next of kin of those who laid down their lives, thereby clearing the way for the freedom we enjoy today, Seth? I mean, I'm happy you lived with so many of them back then. You shared bread with them. You shared stories with them. You know them. How should government be treating their families?
I'm still living with them. You still say some of them are still alive. I'm in Orlando. I'm in Soweto. And then we share with, brothers and sisters in KZN and everywhere. And very few of them, except if you've got a big name or maybe you are well connected, then you will be well treated. Can I tell you, there are people who are getting paid grants by government, and if you go and take a study of who are these people in that list that are getting paid, you'll be finding out that now they're the well-connected. And there are those unsung heroes and heroines in Sharpeville, in Soweto, in Gwalanga, in Gwanyanga, in Utnik, who are not being attended to. If you were to ask me, and if it was to become very personal, the home I'm staying in at my age, let me assure you, is a home where I was arrested in 1976 and my parents' home. And so I'm trying to say, what is it that one doesn't, I never entered the struggle, and I don't think many of us did enter the struggle for gain. The only gain that we wanted was the gain for freedom and for our land and for these human rights to be protected and provided for.
Seth, thanks so much. Thanks so much for your time. We appreciate your time indeed. Seth Mazibuko is a student leader in the 1976 Soweto uprising and former political prisoner on Robben Island. You are watching Weekend Review here on the SABC News channel. Stay with us. We will be back at the top of the hour. You are watching SABC News live from Johannesburg. Your headlines this hour. The lead struggle stalwart and former MEC for Community Safety and Liaison, Dennis Neer, is to be laid to rest in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape today. The Sudanese army says it has seized full control of the presidential palace in downtown Khartoum in one of the most symbolic gains in a 2-year-old conflict with a rival armed group that has threatened to petition the country. Bafana Bafana's dreams of qualifying for the 2026 FIFA World Cup are still on track. Bafana are currently on top of Group C after beating neighbors Lesotho 2-0 at the Peter Mokaba Stadium in Polokwane last night. You are still watching the Weekend Review here on the SABC News channel. A very good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us. For the next 2 hours, We'll be reviewing some of those biggest stories of the week. My name is Mareke Damklabe, and as always, it's wonderful to have you with us. The late struggle stalwart and former MEC for Community Safety and Liaison, Dennis Neer, is to be laid to rest in Gqeberha, Eastern Cape today. Neer passed away on Friday last week after a long illness. President Cyril Ramaphosa approved that the Eastern Cape provincial government honors Neer with a special provincial official funeral category 2. This follows a request by Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane to accord Neer with this recognition. Now, police have arrested one suspect in connection to the brutal killing of two Rea Vaya bus drivers early last month. The two bus drivers were shot and killed in two separate incidents on the 3rd of February in Soweto. One driver was shot in Tutune Street in Mapetla and another was killed in Protea Lane, with both incidents occurring within 10 minutes of each other. This left many Rea Vaya passengers stranded as bus services were also halted.
One suspect was arrested on the 18th of March 2025 in connection to the two shooting incidents that happened on the 3rd of February 2025 at Protea and Mapetla respectively. During the shooting, two Rea Vaya bus drivers were killed. The police received a tip-off and the suspect's vehicle, which is suspected to have been used during the commission of crime, was circulated and led to the arrest of the suspect in Linden. He has since appeared before Protea Magistrates Court on the 20th of March 2025 and he was remanded in custody until the 27th March 2025. Police investigations continue.
Now, the Sudanese army said it seized full control of the presidential palace in capital Khartoum yesterday. It's one of the most significant gains in a two-year conflict with the paramilitary group Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, which has threatened to divide the country. Footage released on social media showed army personnel inside the palace chanting while hoisting weapons. It had previously been seized by the RSF when the war broke out in April 2023. The army had long been on the back foot but has recently been making advances, managing to retake territory in the center of the country. The conflict in Sudan has led to what the UN calls the world's largest humanitarian crisis. Now, the Inkatha Freedom Party marks its 50th anniversary, founded by the late Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi on March 21st, 1975. The IFP was founded as the Inkatha National Cultural Liberation Movement, or Inkatha Yenkululeko Yesizwe. Following the first democratic elections in April 1994, the IFP became part of the Government of National Unity and contributed to laying the foundation for sustainable democracy of our country. Our reporter Simpio Makanya is on standby with the latest. A very good afternoon to you, Simpio. What is happening at the moment where you are?
Well, Mahaketla, indeed, it's all systems go here ahead of tomorrow's main rally, which is going to be held here at the Prince Mangosuthu Regional Stadium in Ulundi in northern KwaZulu-Natal. As you rightfully indicated, it's 50 years of existence for Inkatha Freedom Party, a political party that has seen many, many things in the country of South Africa. And of course, yesterday they held that prayer day where they were reflecting really on the achievements of the party and also some of the challenges that are facing the party. And in fact, as you speak to us, I'm going to step out of the shot just for a little while and ask my colleague Sbu Tembe to give our viewers a sense really of the setup of the stadium where this particular rally is going to be taking place tomorrow. The party says it expects just over 30,000 supporters to fill the stadium up to capacity, as they, of course, remember really the contributions that have been made by the founding people of this political party. One of those, of course, is the main person who founded the Inkatha Freedom Party, who is the late Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Of course, you'd recall that the party was founded in 1975 on the 21st of March. But allow me, Makeketla, to speak to the national spokesperson of the IFP, that's Mr. Mkhuleko Hlengwa, just to get a sense, really, of the preparations ahead of tomorrow's main rally. Thank you so much for your time.
Good afternoon to you and the viewers.
State of preparedness for tomorrow's main rally, a huge celebration expected tomorrow. What can you tell us about the state of readiness?
Well, it's all systems go. In a short while, we're expecting the IFP president to be here. The Secretary General has just arrived to receive the final update report from the technical team and the organizing committee about all that will be happening tomorrow. We had a very successful prayer service yesterday of Thanksgiving, which was presided over by the clergy, and a sermon delivered by Bishop Mandindi of the Methodist Church, because ultimately the IFP was founded at Kwanzimela, which is of course the home of the Anglican Church in the northern KwaZulu-Natal. And so we, as you'll recall, in 2015 when we had the 40th anniversary, we retraced our steps from where we were actually founded, which is at Kwanzimela. And so tomorrow we are expecting the rally to be in full swing, and the president will be giving us the roadmap for the IFP as we go to 2026, 2029 elections, and of course the next 50 years. The IFP is on a trajectory of growth, and we are reflecting on all that which has worked for the party in the past and fix that which needs to be sorted out. And so this is a very critical moment of national reflection for the IFP. Also, our contribution as a liberation movement fighting against oppression, apartheid, and injustice that South Africans had to endure. And of course, post-1994, it's still clear that we are a long way from achieving the liberation dream of economic justice for the country. And so tomorrow, that is ultimately what we'll be doing, a reflection on the journey of 50 years and the future of next 50 years, and also paying tribute to Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Tomorrow morning, before we commence, we will start at the Wapindangene Royal Homestead, where we will pay our respects to Mntwana Wapindangene. It is resting place. As you will recall, we did the same yesterday, starting off at the grave of Archbishop Alpheus Zulu, who was the national chairperson of the IFP and presided as chairperson over the meeting that founded Inkatha. And so we are giving also our appreciation and reflection to the life and leadership of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi.
Again, as I said in my introduction, over 30,000 supporters expected to gather here. Security-wise, is everything in order?
Everything is in order. We have got our guests, some who already arrived from international organizations, diplomatic missions will be represented. Our friends from around the world will be present, and of course, friends in South Africa as well. But most importantly is the leadership of the IFP at branches and constituency levels, who are going to be receiving the marching orders from the president, because as we said in January when we launched our 50-year celebration plans, is that this year is the launch pad into the future for the IFP. And so the branches and structures are here to receive the marching orders, the direction, and of course for us to forge the unity of the party around the common purpose as we celebrate 50 years of resilient service and integrity and delivery of the IFP in the 50 years of existence. You'll also recall that, of course, this is a year which we're also going to be going to conferences, and so it is important that we foster that kind of unity, national discipline of all structures, to make sure that when we go to conference, we are one party. When we come out of conference, we are one party, because what is important for the IFP is to serve the people. We remain fundamentally concerned about the high levels of unemployment, the poverty, the inequality, and the injustices that prevail, crime, and so on. And so what is important here as well is how do we sort those things out for the country, because that's our historic mission, a party in the line of service of duty to country.
Just for clarity, once again, when is the elective conference expected to take place?
Well, the conference is tentatively scheduled for August. The Secretary General and the Secretariat of the party are currently seized with facilitating the auditing of all branches to make sure that we go to the conference with the legitimate structures. Deployed teams are already out, as you will recall, in the provinces as well. We have deployed leaders as well there of the National Council. I myself am deployed to the province of Gauteng. And so once that audit process is done, of course, there are also branches which need to be inaugurated, and the National Council has given a directive that branches that were ready at the time when we commenced with audit should be given the opportunity to be inaugurated so that they can participate in the conference. But as far as we are concerned, we are readying ourselves for a conference. On one hand, on the other hand, it's all systems go for the year-long celebrations of the IFP's 50 years of existence.
Let's touch on the GNU. As the IFP, of course, we've seen other political parties, expressing their dissatisfaction with some of the policies that have been adopted by this new government of national unity. But we have not seen the IFP's viewpoint really, in terms of the contentional issues such as your Land Expropriation Act and the Bella Act. Where does the IFP stands in terms of those particular contentious acts?
Well, I mean, we were very clear about the Bella Act, that the act had been passed by Parliament, and so there was no other way to send it back to Parliament. The President, as far as we are concerned, could have and should have broadly consulted on its implementation, but the GNU clearinghouse mechanism, which has been instituted, met on the issues, and as the IFP from the onset, we indicated that given the circumstances we'd found ourselves in, the Minister of Basic Education, who happens to come from the DA, by the way, and so they, as the party that had the major issues of concern, they're in a position to now institute the regulations that are going to guide the Bella Act. So that's one part. The Expropriation Act, we were clear that we do not support the Expropriation Act, but what must be clarified is that our opposition to the Expropriation Act is not an opposition to expropriation. Our position has continuously been expropriation with compensation. We believe Section 25 is sufficiently adequate to achieve those national key strategic objectives for the access to property and land which is required, and that is why we would have also heard in the debate where that was held in Parliament, we are opposed to the kind of outlook that has been employed by Solidarity and AfriForum of disinformation, propaganda and fake news, and particularly transplanting it to the United States. What we are saying is, again, the Minister of Public Works, who happens to come from the DA, is in a position to actually now institute the regulations that actually guide that. What we want to say, the major issue that we have raised is that Ingonyama Trust needs to remain intact and untouched because it fulfills long-term land security for the people. On the other hand, you would have seen the march that we had against the closure of Itala Bank and the course of action that has been taken by the Prudential Authority. We reiterate that Itala Bank needs to remain open to fulfill its historic mission of access to financing and opportunities for the previously disadvantaged who are presently disadvantaged, and further action steps are going to be taken. The only difference is that the IFP's voice is a voice of reason. It's not one which seeks to chase headlines and make noise. There's no solutions in noise. Let's all come to the table and find lasting solutions as the GNU to the prevailing challenges.
I'm pressed for time, Mr. Hlengo, but a quick yes or no answer. Is the IFP going to vote in favor of the adoption of the budget that has been recently tabled by the Finance Minister?
Well, that's not a yes or no answer. We need to put that in context. But what is clear is that the country finds itself in dire economic straits, and we have got very tough and difficult decisions that we have to take moving forward. There's opportunity costs economically and developmentally, which we need to weigh up. The risk for KwaZulu-Natal, where we govern, is that we may lose 11,000 teachers. How do we plug the hole? What we have said is that the budget needs to be continuously reprioritized to meet the strategic objectives. Parliament will process it for us to be able to be in a position to say, how do we work? What is a major achievement is how we've been able to move the proposal from 2% to 0.5%. And so we believe that we are making the kind of headway that is necessary. And so under the circumstances, we believe that we have made strides to reconfigure the budget, and we're in a better position now in terms of reconfiguration. If you look at that, we're at 0.5%. And so the IFP leans towards supporting the budget because the necessary decisions and tough conversations about restructuring and reprioritization are actually taking place. But what must be said is that it's a very difficult budget. It's a difficult moment for the country, and we're going to need to be of sober mind about the decisions we take. On the other hand, you do need to look at what the budget proposes. There's increases to your grants. We have not increased personal income tax brackets. There's been no increase to the fuel levy, and so it continues to have a pro-poor outlook, whilst at the same time making very tough decisions about how we meet some of the developmental agenda proposals that we have.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
National spokesperson of the IFP, Mr. Mkhuleko Hlengwa, here at the Prince Mangosuthu Regional Stadium, Ulundi, ahead, of course, of that rally tomorrow, which is going to take place at this very stadium. In fact, as you come to us, I saw the president of the IFP walking into stage. Of course, they are about to conduct the site inspection, just to get a sense, really, of what has been done, or rather, the readiness ahead of tomorrow's rally. As we link back to you in studio, Maheketla.
Simpiwe, thank you. That was SABC News reporter Simpiwe Makanya. Now, the weekend review continues after this short break. Do stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. Now, newly inaugurated Namibian President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah has emphasized the need to address corruption as it hinders development of communities. She has appealed to her peers on the continent to tackle challenges facing African people. Nandi-Ndaitwah has also committed herself to work for all Namibians. Many influential women in the SADC region have also commended the people of Namibia for electing a woman president to lead their country.
The pouring rain did not deter those who wanted to witness history being made.
Congratulations to Namibian people, Namibian women, and of course congratulations to all of us in Africa.
You know, I have a bad leg, but I had to come. I had to be here to see my sister Ndaitwah assume the highest office of this land.
Very exciting to have the first woman president in Namibia. We congratulate the people of Namibia, SWAPO, for giving a woman a chance.
The event is blessed. It's been raining. It means there's prosperity ahead.
Well, this is extremely historic for Namibians to have the first female president. It's something that we celebrate. It's something that has long been in the making, and this is about the recognition of the role that the women on our continent play.
Friendly people of Namibia, what a historic day for Namibia, for our region SADC, and for Africa.
Historic moment, and congratulations to Namibia, congratulations to SWAPO, congratulations to the new president.
The president of the DRC was also there, and he took time to speak to the media about the current situation in the DRC, saying he supports all the peace initiatives.
It's a very important issue for us. I apologize. My English is not bad. It's not good. I will speak in French pour dire que la paix est nécessaire pour construire l'Afrique. Without peace, it's not possible to build the good Africa, the big Africa. We need that. We need peace. Voilà. Thank you. He's going in good direction.
Disappointed by the intellectual pulling out in Angola.
Si vous êtes un peu embêté par la non-participation de M23 dans les travaux de paix.
Oui, mais ça ne m'étonne pas. Ça ne m'étonne pas parce que c'est un mouvement terroriste. Ils veulent plus détruire que construire. Ça ne m'étonne pas.
For Namibians, a day to celebrate the inauguration of the new president and Independence Day.
Her Excellency, Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah's hour has come, and we ought to be proud and thankful.
The outgoing president has called on Namibians to support his successor.
Also served. Let us all support her and wish her good health, strength, and wisdom.
And the moment many have been waiting for.
I, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, do hereby swear that I will strive to the best of my ability to uphold, protect, and defend as the supreme law the Constitution of the Republic of Namibia, and faithfully
She called on Namibians and Africans around the continent to ensure that they do what the nations in their respective countries want.
Corruption in all its manifestation should be avoided at all costs. As a student of Mwalimu Nyerere, he taught me, and he also said it in one of his writings, that corruption must be treated as treason. And I agree, because through corruption, citizens can be frustrated and in the process overthrow governments.
Sophie Mukwena, SABC News, Windhoek, Namibia.
Now, as you saw in that story, Namibia swearing in its first ever woman president yesterday after Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah won elections last year that extended the ruling party's 35-year grip on power. She's a known veteran of the Southwest Africa People's Organization that led the sparsely populated and uranium-rich country to independence from apartheid South Africa in 1990. Outgoing President Nangolo Mbumba, 83 years old, as you might be aware, handed power to Nandi-Ndaitwah at a ceremony that coincided with the 35th anniversary of Namibia's independence. Joining us now is Ngosi Kukulule Kawulengweni Nyembezi, who is a policy analyst, researcher, and human rights activist. Ngosi, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks so much indeed for your patience. I mean, we live in a patriarchal society, isn't it? So having a female president is the beginning of a new era. Is this showing perhaps a change in the political climate when it comes to women leaders in Africa?
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed, it's a welcome step. It's a step to congratulate, because the glass ceiling will shatter when society eliminates practices that support it in terms of leadership choices, in terms of policy conceptualization, implementation, and evaluation. So at an institutional level, it's an important step, and at a personal level, in terms of human resources, it's an important step.
And what symbolic weight does this hold for the continent?
We've come a long way, and women form the majority of the African population. And so to see women rising in political offices and other areas of decision-making is important, because, as I say, when people who have got that perspective of a female, who have got that perspective of a gender balance, come to take decisions, then we expect that they will do so in a way that eliminates patriarchy that, as you say, already dominates our environment.
You might have listened to her speech yesterday, quite powerful. She mentioned that she advocates for equality between men and women, and that is not good for society to underplay the role that one segment of the population can play in the social, political and economic fabric of society. What's your thoughts on that?
It's a good approach because we all ought to strive for a balance. So what I heard her say was strive for a balance in the society, in the institutions of government, in other institutions of society, where each member, different genders, can be able to play a fulfilled role, a productive role in ensuring that society and families are productive. And so in terms of human rights, we also know that they are reinforcing, they are self-balancing. So when you promote one human right, you don't take away from another. So when you promote one gender, it's not about taking away from the other. So in the quest for a balance, I think she struck a correct chord.
And Ngozi, do you see South Africa having a female president anytime soon? And if so, will this be a respected position at all?
Yes, it's possible, it's conceivable. If the people want that, it will happen. And it would be good if all of that happened at the backdrop of women representation generally. Also in terms of the policies and institutions speaking in being women-friendly, child-friendly, people-friendly, so that the issue of placement of a female leader doesn't just come and appear to be a token, but it becomes part of an integral and integrated move by the society to ensure that we get that. Of course, we can have a female president, but there are still obstacles. We do know, for example, if we were to look at the education sector, that there are more girls in schools than boys, and the more girls, they are doing quite well in terms of academically compared to girls, to boys in different areas of academic pursuit. So if all of that can then translate and be elevated into other areas of the society, including positions of power, that would be good. And we've seen in parliament or in legislatures, be it national, provincial, and local, that we have had an increase and a steady increase of women representation. It's just a matter of hitting that cherry on top by having a president.
Yeah, she added that while the country has seen progress since independence, there's a lot that needs to be done. What do you see as the most pressing challenges she must address in her first 100 days? And just talking about how might her approach differ from past administrations?
I think it has to do with the legacy of Namibia, linked to the legacy of South Africa, because the land still belongs to a few minority in Namibia. The mineral rights, they still belong to a few minority in Namibia. And so it's about issue of opening up economic opportunities, but also in terms of being forward-looking. We are now moving into the 2030s. There's fourth industrial revolution. There's a new generation of citizens in Namibia as well, because the veterans are few now. People who had experienced the independence in 1990, they are now senior citizens, most of them. So there is a handing over to the next generation. So if the country can look forward into the 2030s in terms of how it addresses its economic growth, it addresses its place in the African and international diaspora and economy, because we know that also Namibia has natural resources, including the ocean. So this issue of climate change and the issue of talking about economic renewal and moving away from dirty fossil fuels to clean energy are some of the things that this government need to look at in the interest of the future generations.
Ngozi, thanks so much indeed. We appreciate your time. Ngozi Khulule Kaulingweni Nyembezi is a policy analyst, researcher, and human rights activist. Now to this developing story, 4 people have been killed and 8 others have been taken to hospital after a quarrel broke out in the Me informal settlement in Soshanguve, north of Pretoria. Police spokesperson Brigadier Brenda Morodili says the tragedy happened around 3 o'clock this morning when a group of community-based patrollers encountered 5 individuals on the street and a fight broke out between the men. Lopang Alamu joins us live with the latest. Good afternoon to you, Lopang. What is the latest so far?
A very good afternoon to you, Maheketla, and to our viewers. What you're seeing now are just visuals of the community, or the family members rather, of those who are deceased burning the scene. So I think they explained to us that culturally this is what they normally do, just to burn their belongings and the blood that was shed here today. We're just going to walk around and give you a sense of what else is happening. You'll just see behind us here, Katlego is going to show you, there is a group of the community just basically conversing and talking about how unsafe they feel. We are going to speak to Colonel Brenda in not so long, but I just wanted to get a sense of what the community feels and what their views are on what happened. We did speak to a lady earlier who said she definitely just felt unsafe at this moment, and I'm just going to try and grab her, hoping that she speaks to us. Hello, Mama. Onore, you don't feel safe here?
Are safe mo le ka tseno a re di rola la robetse byang le bana because a robale no and as ntamatom irahal or tshepisa lo tse e leng gore a re di bona a di rala nna re lapile ene ra tshowa rena and ha ona go re ka yang ro ya ka re shemi khuka rena ene le bana ba batho ba ba tlhokofetseng bona bana ba ba shileng bo irang ka bona a re safe mo re nna re tshoile re phela re tshoile ka tseno. And then
no, thank you so much. That's one of the residents here explaining that they don't feel safe at all in this area, and just asking the right questions in this case. Are they safe? What happens from here on? I'm just going to try and grab the police spokesperson here, Brenda. She's just down there. Katlego will just be showing you what else is happening. So you'll see that the community has gathered here to try and ask their councillor, like they explained, what exactly is happening here and how they can solve the issue of safety in the community. I'm just going to grab Brenda a little bit, just so she explains to us what happened here, according to what the police have seen and their preliminary investigations. Brenda, thank you so much for your time. What a hectic morning here in Soshanguve. Could you just take us through what happened?
Thank you, Lopang. The police were called in around 6 a.m. and when they came here, witnesses reported to the police that the incident happened at around 3 a.m. There were 4 people who were already deceased on the scene, and the police also learned that there are a few that have been taken to hospital. So a police detective was sent to the hospital, and then he did verify that there are 8 people in hospital who were injured, and then 7 of those have been identified, as well as the deceased. There is only 1 person who's injured that has not yet been identified. Reports suggest that the group was convening here to continue with their patrols when they saw suspicious people, about 5 men. When they approached them to interact with them, those men, there was an altercation, and then eventually there was a shooting. The patrollers who were here were shot at, and also their bodies were partially burned.
So would we be correct to assume that those who shot at the police were criminals?
At this stage, yes, there were suspicious people, and the fact that they did not want to talk to the patrollers who are trying to keep the streets of this community safe suggests that there are perpetrators that we are looking for.
No, thank you so much. That's Colonel Brenda Moridili just giving us a picture of what their investigations are showing at the moment. There you have it, 4 people deceased, 8 others injured in hospital. And we do understand from the police in preliminary investigation that the men who attacked the patrollers are suspected to be criminals. Well, I think we'll be here to give you more updates as the day progresses, but for now it's back to you in studio, Maheket.
Lobang, thanks so much indeed. Lobang Alamu, SABC News reporter there in Soshanguve on that story. Now, Team South Africa returned from the Special Olympics Winter Games in Turin, Italy, with smiles on their faces. The team replicated the incredible achievements of the 2017 team, with everyone on the 6 members returning as a medalist. Newcomer Naledi Tlalele returned home with a gold medal in figure skating.
It was just about a week ago when the 6 athletes were sent off to Italy to represent South Africa at the Winter Games. The 6 took part in figure skating and short track speed skating, winter sports not common to South Africans. But Team South Africa delivered outstanding performances throughout the Games, bagging 6 medals on the global stage for intellectually impaired athletes. The chairperson of Special Olympics South Africa, Matthews Posa, praised the athletes and described them as a beacon of hope.
To our athletes, you are champions in every sense of the word. Your dedication, discipline, and determination have not only made us proud, but have also shown the world what South Africans are made of. You have faced the slippery ice and the fierce competition with courage and grace. And in doing so, you have shattered barriers and redefined what is possible. Your success goes far, far beyond the medals you wear around your necks. You have become beacons of hope and possibility for thousands of people with intellectual disabilities across the nation. Through your achievements, you have demonstrated that ability is not defined by limitation.
20-year-old Naledi Hlalelo only started figure skating a couple of years ago. She made her international debut in Turin and returned with a gold medal.
Well, no, hey, no, they were really good, hey, they were really good. I won't lie, they were good. So I wouldn't say I was expecting myself to come with a gold, but what I would say, I also done very good. I'll also say to myself, I've done very good. I won't lie, yeah, all the hard work paid off, yeah.
Bianca Basson and Tyrell Sykes, who participated in the 2017 Winter Games, won a silver and bronze medal respectively, also in figure skating.
It was more exciting and more nervous in thinking about the family and the people who we represent in South Africa, the thousands of people we represent in South Africa.
So in my side, we represent our family, our community, our people of South Africa to bring the medals back home. It was very good. So we love you, South Africa. We love you, our Rainbow Nation.
The Special Olympics World Winter Games are known to be the world's largest sports and humanitarian event celebrating the resilience and achievements of athletes with intellectual disabilities. Mahudi Mulapo, SABC News, Kempton Park.
Wow, beautiful story there. Now, let's further unpack this with Dr. Matthew Sposa, who is chairman of the Special Olympics South Africa Board. And Naledi Hlalelo, you've seen her in that story. Dr. Sposa, thanks so much for joining us. Naledi, thanks so much for coming through. In most cases, I would want to start with you, Dr. Sposa, but because we don't have medals around our necks, she has got one. Let's go with her. Naledi, congratulations.
Thank you.
Talk to us. How does it feel like?
Well, it feels, I'm very happy first, and I'm very happy about the gold medal, and also I'm very happy that I achieved this big thing. It is a big thing to me, and also I would say thank you to the Special Olympics, and thank you to my school, thank you to my coach for putting effort and motivating me, and thank you to my family too. Yes, that's what.
Dr. Sposa, to you, this is quite commendable. Talk to us about the number of athletes that actually travel to Italy to represent the country and in what codes. And I'm sure this also puts a smile on your face.
It should put smiles on the more than 40 million South Africans. To have 6 athletes participating in Winter Games from a country with no snow and winning world medals. It should put a smile on all of us. I want to congratulate Naledi and the other 5. They've done us proud. They've lifted the flag of South Africa very high. If Mandela was alive, he would be clapping hands. I'm mentioning him because it's him who requested me to lead this movement 20 years ago. And he said to me, get going, understand what it is, lead it. In that time, there were only 3,000 athletes in the country who have been identified who have intellectual disabilities. Now, today, after 20 years, we've got more than 59,000. And there's more. There's more than 3 million which you have to reach. The task and the journey is a long one. It's a task for the nation to realize that people with intellectual disabilities must be included in education, in sporting activities, in workplaces. Inclusion is what we preach, social inclusion. We cannot say we're free when freedom does not reach those disadvantaged people, does not reach those with disabilities, whether intellectual or physical. When we reach them, then we're free.
And let's talk about that, Dr. Post. I mean, what are some of the most pressing challenges facing the organization in South Africa, and how are you addressing issues like accessibility, stigma, or even funding?
Well, stigma first.
Yeah.
She can tell you, she's a living witness, that she was being ridiculed by her own peers. And there's an experience of all of them. And I would like at some point to explain to her own experiences, stigma. We need to educate the nation about the responsibility to love and to care about people with intellectual disabilities and other disabilities. To love and care. But the love and care gives support and encouragement and motivation. She talked about thanking her family. Without family support, forget it. We preach to the families, please support these kids. You know, we will do as much as we can. For example, we've got clinics nationwide where we have specialists who volunteer their services to give teeth free of charge, spectacles free of charge, look at the feet, at the ears, and make sure that the health part of the child is looked after. It's all voluntary. We've got an African bank which has committed itself, the first bank in South Africa, to move forward and say, we shall fund this movement. And I'm calling on all other banks and insurance companies and corporates to do the same or to do better. You know, we've got the Lotto, which has come forward and support the movement. We cannot do our job without that support, without support of parents. We have a team at Special Olympic Office, led by Ansel, our CEO, and a vibrant team of volunteers. Now, without those people, without the tutors throughout the country, support won't be there. But without the athletes, we're not a movement. They make us a movement. It's a world movement in more than 170 countries. To win a medal, doesn't matter whether it's gold, silver, or bronze, you are a world champion. And South Africa must celebrate you. And be proud of you as we celebrate her and the other five.
Indeed. And let's come to you, Naledi. Talk to us about some of the challenges that you have experienced and managed to overcome them until you have that medal over your neck.
Well, I would say my challenges were in, like, while I was also skating too, doing all that. I had my ups and downs where I would be like, you know what, I'm tired of it. At the same time, especially when I go home, I get the motivation back, and they motivate me and be like, no, it's okay. It happens. You fall once, twice. It's okay. It's okay to fall and just continue. And with the coaches, with the school also, you know, it played a big role. My coach played a big role also with motivating me also, because, you know, sometimes you get the part where you just like, hey, it's just too much for you. You can't handle that. But at the same time, when your coach just tells you, no, you can do it, when she sees that you can do it and she sees the potential also, you know, it's a big thing, and she can tell you, no, you can do it, even though you will be telling her, no, I can't do it, ma'am, I'm really, you know, but then she'll be like, no, I can see that you can, it's just that you're afraid, you just, so also by that, I would say, you know, she does a good job.
And going to Italy, how were the preparations for you?
Well, preparations, well, I had to practice a lot. There was a lot of practicing, because guys, when you practice, practice makes perfect, honestly, I won't lie. Because especially, I can't dance to save my life, but when I'm on the ice, I feel ease. I feel like I can dance, because, well, I do figure skating, so it's almost like dancing and all that, but I love that. I love that. And also, the weather that side, it was quite cold. It wasn't that cold the way they were saying it. Overrating it that it's cold, but I wouldn't say it was that cold. Maybe it's because I'm used to the cold on the ice ring, right, in Northgate. So yeah.
And Dr. Posa, I mean, how do partnerships with government, private entities, or even NGOs enhance your mission? And are there any recent collaborations you'd highlight?
Well, the Department of Social Welfare has been stretching their hand of friendship to us and making some contribution. And the disability desk in the presidency has been doing the same thing. And then the private sector, like I said, African Bank, the Lotto, they all come to the party. And we appreciate that. You know, she mentioned the issue of falling. And I thought, you know, in life, you fall. The issue is, to rise.
Yeah.
The challenge is to rise. And that's what she did, that's what they do. Life is like that. You'll always be tripped by something. But we appreciate the challenge of having to raise money. And let me tell you, it is a challenge. It needs love and care from private sector, from government itself. Last time when we came from the Summer Games, we had 49 medals. And one must not forget that. It was a record. The president invited the whole team to the union building and acknowledged them. That's motivation. That's taking responsibility as a president. And we appreciated that. And in this case, we've been talking to the nation and saying, let's preach social inclusion. It's a human right to be included. If you exclude others, you have violated human rights. So what are you talking about when you say celebrate human rights, when you exclude others?
And just looking ahead, what exciting projects or events is Special Olympics South Africa prioritizing to expand its impact in the new years, in the coming years?
Well, this year we're going to have national games in the Northwest. Welcome. That prepares for the big games in the world. We choose different teams. We're going to, not less than 11 sporting activities. We're going to choose different teams. Northwest is likely to host that, and we wish them well. And of course, the other year, 2027, we're going to Santiago in Chile, the other side of the world. We look forward to that. We're not scared.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, lady, who's your strongest competitor, if you could recall?
Well, in figure skating?
Yeah.
Well, I would say in my group or...
In your group and the opposition as well?
I would say, at first, I would say it was Bianca.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, Bianca was, she's good. I mean, I just started, so obviously.
Yeah.
So I would say she was good. I used to look up to her, I mean, because she's the one that I saw there. I was like, oh my God, she's amazing. She's good. That's when I was amazed what.
And I guess she inspires you as well.
Yeah, she used to. She does still. Yeah, she's the one that opened my eye that, no, you can do it. You are credible based on doing it. So, for me, it was just like a big thing for me. So also, I would say I actually loved when, instead of her being mean, I thought she would be mean and all that. No, she was actually more friendlier and telling me, no, you can also do it. Just do a few more sports. And she was more encouraging. So I would like that.
And as a gold medalist, just your message to some children out there who would love to be in that gear, in those shoes.
Well, I would always say, guys, you'll need to believe in yourselves. I always still say that, because for me to be here, also had to believe in myself, and also by the support that you get, it works. And also I used to believe in myself. I still do believe in myself. And also you need to be committed to one sport or whatever you do. You need to be committed and put in the effort, not only because your coach says it, but then also because of you want this, you want to see the progress, you see.
Indeed.
So you have to do that. And I still say all the hard work will pay off.
Yeah, indeed. It has paid off with you, as we see. Dr. Posa, to you, just briefly, your final message you would share with the public, just to emphasize the importance of supporting athletes with intellectual challenges.
I think we depend on the nation in all its formations to get support. We're humble enough to go and ask for the money. But we're asking that all of us understand it's not for the sake of money. It's for supporting human rights, to promote social inclusion of people with intellectual disabilities. We would like that support to come from our own people, our own nation, our own government. And we appreciate whatever has been given so far. And the other thing I did not mention is that we also have later in the year the Africa Games.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, please be there with your cameras.
Indeed.
And my approach is very simple. Let's give each one an opportunity in life. It doesn't matter of their ability or disability. Give us opportunity. then we'll show you what we're able to do. Don't exclude us.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks so much indeed for coming through. We appreciate it, Dr. Matthews Posa, who is chairman of the Special Olympics South Africa, as well as Naledi Tlalele, gold medalist. Thanks so much indeed.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Now, to this, Bafana Bafana's dreams of qualifying for the 2026 FIFA World Cup are still on track. Bafana are currently on top of Group C after beating neighbors Lesotho 2-0 at the Peter Mokaba Stadium in Polokwane last night. South Africa is on 10 points after 5 matches, followed by second place Benin on 8 points. Relebohile Mofokeng and Jaden Adams were on target for the home team. Bafana will travel to Ivory Coast for their match against Benin on Tuesday. Let's further unpack this with SABC News senior sports reporter Sifiso Ramara. Sifiso, a very good afternoon to you. Can you just take us through the key moments that defined Bafana's 2-0 victory over Lesotho last night and how the team secured their position at the top of Group C?
Good afternoon to you, Bakageta, and good afternoon to the SABC viewers. Yeah, it was very important for Bafana Bafana to collect 3 points to make sure that they intensify their position on Group C. I think the trick is very clear. You know, in games like this, you make sure that you go all out and win your home matches, but at the same time, at least if you get a draw, if you're lucky sometimes, get a win away. That's the simple method to make sure that Bafana Bafana goes through to the World Cup. I mean, we missed several World Cup tournaments before. The last time Bafana played in the World Cup was in 2010, and we played in 2010 by virtue of hosting the tournament. It means, in a proper way, Bafana Bafana, the last time they played in the World Cup through qualification, was back in Korea, Japan, in 2002. So it's that time Bafana, qualifies. We must celebrate. They are top of Group C, like I said, but there's still a long way to go. I mean, we've only played 5 games. We still have 5 games remaining. Like you said, we're playing Benin away. I'm expecting the coach, because it's an away match, to be a bit cautious. Because if you check last night, the coach used at least 4 attack-minded players, which is a positive sign. But in the away match against Benin, I'm expecting the coach, to be a bit, cautious. That is taking a cautious approach.
Yeah.
I'm expecting the likes of Talent Mbata, maybe, and Matusi Oba of Mamelodi Sundowns to start in the away encounter. And
Sifiso, does playing a neighboring team like Lesotho add any extra pressure or motivation? And how did this dynamic play out on the pitch as you watched the game last night?
Yeah, people must understand that, lately there's no easy international match. And it's even worse when you're playing against neighbors. The likes of Lesotho, Eswatini, Mozambique, Namibia. It's always tough to play against those type of countries because they see South African football, week in, week out. They know what we have to offer on the field of play. So it's always difficult playing against neighbors. I mean, Lesotho, they gave their all. It took a very long time for Bafana to finally, raise their resolute defense. But Lesotho, I think I must praise their coach, Noti. I mean, they are, an improving side. For the fact that they managed to hold Nigeria to a goalless draw away, it shows that they are a very formidable side.
And does this victory signal a turning point for the team's consistency, Sifiso?
Yeah, like I said initially, with Hugo Bruce, when he was appointed as Bafana coach, from the word go, the objective was one. They told him he must make sure we qualify for the World Cup and we qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations. I mean, we've seen Hugo Brock. He has been very, performing consistently with its very young side. Bafana qualified for 2 successive AFCON tournaments. He is the first coach ever to help Bafana qualify for 2 AFCON finals. So the only remaining hurdle for Hugo Bruce and his boys is to make sure that we qualify for the 2026 World Cup to be co-hosted in Canada, Mexico, and in the US. And as things stand, Bafana has got a very good chance of qualifying for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. But like I said, we must take one game at a time. We are just midway through the campaign. We've only played 5 games. We still have 5 games remaining in our campaign.
Sifiso, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate those insights. SABC News senior sports reporter Sifiso Ramara there. And that's how we wrap up today's edition of the Week in Review. Do join us tomorrow at 12 p.m. on the week ahead. Thanks so much for watching. SA Today is up next at the top of the hour for myself, Marigeta Matab, and the rest of the Week in Review team. Thanks indeed for watching. Take care.